Hello there and welcome back. Today we talk about texture generator. I want to start a series where I show you my favorite pedals and effects that create those kind of texture that fill the gaps when I'm playing. Mostly I use the Hologram Electronics MICROCOSM and the Chase Bliss Mood. Those are my go-to pedal. Just analyze all the different algorithm and possibilities that this pedal offer. It's a very, very interesting one. It has a lot of stuff going on. It has a lot of different sounds that come out of it. And it's one of those pedals that you don't really know. It's very hard to know what's happening inside. There's not really a lot of way to modify the algorithm, but you just embrace what it does. So I ended up mostly using few of these algorithm all the time, and it really helps me to create those kind of ambient pads and weird texture that sometimes are very cool to improvise with. So, in this moment I have all of my synth playing, going inside the Model 1, and the Model 1 is sending a cue into the microcosm. So I like to use this effect like that. I like to have it on send an effect. Usually I add also the Death by Audio rooms. This guy has a reverb, but I prefer to have the Death by Audio because it has more control, of course, and sounds, it's a proper reverb, but this has very little control on it. And then it goes back inside a separate channel. So I treat this as a full channel where I can add even more effects on sound effects if I want, and I can add some EQ. So this pedal has a single input that is a TSR, so basically it can be a mono or a stereo signal. Kinda annoying that it's just a single input because I'm using it in stereo, so I had to buy a cable that I didn't have. Or somebody, I actually had it. I have more cable than years left to live. But anyway, and then we have a stereo out. As a MIDI controller, it has also a expression controller in the back. I like to use it in MIDI because it's very important for me to sync the internal clock to my Octatrack. In this way, whenever I use it, all of this effect that you can hear, now you hear just a full wet mix, but if I pull the original track on top, you can hear that all the effects that are happening are in time. And this is very important because also you can subdivide all the time here, the tempo, with this knob. It can be just synced to the tempo if it's like this, so it just sync to the 4 on the floor. Like this, you activate a subdivision, so it definitely change as you can hear the effect that's happening. All right, so there's 4 main blocks: microloop, glitch, granules, and multi-delay. And each block has a different modality. So it's very hard for me to go through all of them because, of course, it would be a lot. But I'll tell you what I use more and just give you a little rundown of what's happening. So microloop, I'm gonna open the manual, so as usual, I will read exactly what it said because I don't want to say something wrong. So Mosaic basically is a micro looper, and it overlap and playback loop at different speed. It has each single algorithm. It has 4 modes, and you can change the mode just rotating here. So second mode, third mode, fourth mode. So basically, you have 4 modes for each of these, making, if you want to do the math, I don't, a lot of stuff. Okay, so Mosaic is one that I use a lot because I like what it creates behind the music I'm playing. So with this modality, you are playing the loop back at double speed, all the loop that are going on. With activity, you can decide how many looper will start. This is the shape, so you can actually make them more snappy, more with a slower attack. And I mean, you can see by the shape how it's gonna change, and you can hear it. Now, it's not a very scientific it's more a kind of pedal that you just play with it and hear what's happening, because to me it's very hard to predict what's gonna happen, right? Then you have, for each modality, a filter, and you can control the frequency and the resonance. What is written in gray, just pressing this, it activates a shift function, so you can modify the other parameter. The mix, it makes, of course, mix the original with what's happening. Right now, again, I'm using it as a send and return effect for the mixer, so I usually keep it full. But if you want to hear what happened, that's what you can do. Then we have the repeats is basically the activity, related to the activity and how much time the particular things in the algorithm will repeat, as you can hear. I mostly use it at infinity because it makes the things always there. Space is the reverb. It has 4 different modes. You hold this and you go. This is the biggest reverb. I usually, again, use another reverb, but I like how it sounds, so I usually use the second algorithm like this. The loop level, it works with the looper. So we will see that later. I'm not using the looper a lot, but it's kind of fun to use it. All right, so Mosaic, it's one of the ones that I use more. Again, I'll pull up. I'm gonna turn off my drum. So we have just sort of melodic. This is without. And as you can hear, it had a lot of flavor to the sound. It happened a lot since I have it on send and it's pre-fader. I have the chance to remove the original, the dry sound, and just let this play it. This helps me a lot when I want to do transition or when I want to start a set. I can have something going on. And like the other things that I don't like is that whenever you change the algorithm, you mute the sound, and this can be a little annoying. So the 4 different modes of Mosaic, it's all depends on how the half speed or double speed play. So it all changed. Like in the first one, it's just the micro loops play at normal and double speed. Second one, it's normal and half speed. And this is another one that I use a lot. I won't go through all of them, all the modality. You can check the manual for that. It's here. I'm cheating. And I'm reading the manual for you because I usually never read the manual too much. So even if I don't know really what's happening in this pedal, I really like everything. Mostly it's golden. It's one of those pedals that I sometimes feed with the weird loop, then record what it does and use that loop for other production, for ambient loop, for experimental stuff. As you can hear, sometimes the triggering of the audio signal take a while to get in. That's another thing to know. Like sometimes you turn the effect on, it takes a while to get in. You can modify the effect volume here. Volume. And another thing that I forgot to mention, that this guy has a modulator here. As you can hear, now there's a modulator going on. Okay, let's keep it a little lower for now. All right. Then we have sequencer, or sec, I don't know. These add to the microsample some rhythmic sequence, and this could be very fun to use with rhythm. What am I doing here? This is a composite 50-50. No effect. As you can hear, it range in the weird effects that can do. Let's hear with some drum. So a lot of people use this guy with melodic content, but as you can hear, you can add to a very, this super simple 808, I think 808, whatever, from tier 8 track. But you can spice it up. Yeah, sometimes these happen and I don't know why it doesn't really trigger right away. That's a mystery to me, but here we are. It's getting there. Here we are. And yeah, I think with the drum, the glitch part is very cool. Since we are listening to that, I'm gonna go through that. Glitch basically kinda cut your sequence somehow and create all of these interesting blocks of sound, like in this case it calls block. So of course, here each different preset has a different sound. So it change the pitch shift sometime, it can change the overlap of samples. You can read it on the manual. Interrupt. It creates some interesting full block. These add some bit crashing to it. There's some visualization of what's happening. I don't know what does it mean, but whatever. So you can mix your original drum and create something more interesting if you want. This is very nice. So you can use like very subtly, like adding some of this spice, and you'll forgive me, I always use very simple sequences to let you really understand what the pedal can do. ARP, it has a more melodic connotation, so we'll check it later. Granules, let me read for you guys. Boom, where is it? Granules is a fragment of sound that create giant atmosphere and subtle textural effects. And you have haze, tunnel, strum. I use these a lot too. As you can hear, this can be very interesting too. Tunnel is another of things, probably, that reminds a tunnel, I guess. And then let's try the multi-delay. Of course, it's a delay with a twist. Warp, it's a delay with a warp, of course. Okay, let's go back with some melodic content. Let's get back to glitch and see how it sounds. Oh, we didn't do glide. Glide, it creates a glide between half speed, double speed, and normal speed. this one a lot. I use it a lot as a sort of atmospheric pad when I play. A string glitch. I feel glitch is interesting to add just a tiny bit behind your dry sound to add some kind of rhythmic variation. I really like interrupt. This is the most glitchy of them all. And then harp. Harp, it creates a sort of arpeggio. Then granules again. And go through all of them without talking too much, so you can just listen. Granules is, I find it's the one that are more like to use more subtle to add just some flavor to simple sequences. Let's put a very simple sequence. These are 3 or 3 sequences. Probably this is the best way. I'm using it with a full track usually out of the octa track, but it's very nice to add some dimension to just a simple sequence like now. This is a sort of beat repeat that you can find in Ableton. And it's fun when you do a live show to just go random with this. So I really like the fact that I don't fully understand what's happening in this machine, but it gives you some fixed kind of effect and preset, and they all sound kind of interesting. And I use it all the time. So again, nobody give me this guy for free or at a discount. I just bought it, and it's another of those pedals that I really recommend. It would play nice with any kind of sound, even with pads. Let's see if I had some slower pad. Give me a second and I will come back. I just loaded a simple pad, that's it. Let's see how we can change the sound of it. So an idea would be to have just something very simple and have these animating the sound. So you can decide with these, the tempo of it. And yeah, mix with your dry signal. So yeah, if you want to animate something, this could be a good idea. Okay, one last thing. There's a looper, so you can activate it with this. Let me quantize it. Holding this, you can add all the possibility. I want it to go pre-effect, and it quantize. Burst allows for some quick recording, and looper only, it will make this pedal just skip all the effect part. So to go into the looper mode, you just press this, and now when I press this button, it will start recording with a quantization. It didn't. Oh, it was deactivated. So let's erase. So when it's like that, blinking, it's ready to record. Okay, now we have a loop. So now with loop level, we can play with that. If it's pre-effects, means that the loop will go through the effect that we decide. Right now, you can also decide pushing this, the time, how fast it goes. And then you can add whatever effects. Here is where you can just go in very weird, interesting sound. And so on. There's one thing that I find hard to understand. Sometimes the gain staging is impossible. It's really hard to know what's happening, so there's not really a way to dose the sounds that come in. You have to do it ahead of it, and sometimes it's complicated. I find out that it doesn't like very hot signals. Yeah, that's might be the hardest part, and sometimes some of these effects are really hard to understand when they come in. Sometimes they take a lot of time, sometimes they don't come at all. I find myself sometimes being confused. But other than that, let's put back some music. Other than that, it's a pedal that I really, really like and I use all the time. It's always hooked up to my mixer. I enjoyed it to play it live. So it's one of my tools that actually is being heavily used any single time. If you see any of my streaming or if you listen to any of my recording, this is always present. So yeah, another of my recommended tool. Next week we're gonna try this other one that somehow has a similar use, but I use this guy more on my ambient set. Is where it's a little easier and it offers different kind of vibes. It's a micro sampler too, but somehow they're in the same family. Both amazing pedal. Well, I hope you enjoy this presentation today, and I'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.